video takes place after I got off Amtrak's Crescent, one day after I flew to Atlanta via Frontier Airlines. I first had to stop by the Target store in Columbia Heights for some forgotten provisions. Then I would be checking into my hostel on U-Street. Washington's metro system, run by WMATA, is both deserving of high praise for its station architecture and in desperate need of expansion to the suburbs. Downtown here is from where the metro began in the mid-1970s. Fast forward 50 years and the nation's capital has seen its heavy rail subway both follow population expansions as well as inspire them. Brutalist as it may be, stations are clean, climatically neutral, and rolling stock is a mix of new trains with their sterile voiced onboard announcements and middle-era, now vintage cars that preserve the iconic voiced by a human announcements that let you know just where you are in the world of public transit. Okay, now we're just walking through Columbia Heights because I got about a half hour to kill, and the metro's going to be way too efficient if I just have to go one stop back down the Green Line. So we're walking through the fancy neighborhood. Well, they get rid of some nice couches here. Either that or that's just a neighborhood bench. Oh, it's a little low. They just don't have new houses in this neighborhood. Look at this place. I want to live there. Gee whiz, that would be good. Still got a lot of life in it, and a rug. I could tell walking up to this public school that there was a great overlook ahead, and I couldn't resist walking through the parking lot to it. See, everyone's been to this tourist destination. There's a reason we're going over here. Arriving mid-afternoon on a Sunday leaves few museums and other housed attractions for cheap wanderers like myself. I had a classic objective for dinner in mind, but as I was still experiencing the lingering effects of Amtrak's butter cakes, I needed some time spent walking around DC to center myself without spending too much money in the process. Less than $10 on the Smart Trip card on my Google Wallet would get me around today and tomorrow morning with a few dollars left over for my next trip. Whenever that may be, the U-Street Hostel might very well be on my list of accommodations if I'm traveling alone. It's a particular kind of this recent fad of capsule hotels spread from Asia across the globe to here on the East Coast. Once I get back from my wander around and dinner, we'll have a closer look at these plastic sleeping accommodations. I've been to the Smithsonian, the Lincoln Memorial, the National Gallery of Fine Art, the archives. They're all great experiences if you start in the morning. By later in the afternoon, you've got a handful of other memorials and historic sites around the National Mall that won't fail to entertain. Scooters, taxis, and a whole host of transportation can get you around the expanse of history to take in on any given day, but if you want to save your scratch for a great meal and have the appetite to deserve it, a walk around town is the way to take in a summer's evening in DC. The time spent in metro stations is filled with train spotting and lined with reverence for this, the most well-rounded of the mid-century built next-generation metro systems of America. As I would speculate the next morning, these systems are now running automated, albeit with human beings at the cab of each train. And they are plenty busy, even on a weekend. Plenty of tourists and people working around town have to get around DC, so trains can be expected to be pretty packed.
guess this is Foggy Bottom. I don't get it. Government stuff. There's a lot of it. So, unlike most streets you cross in America, on the other side of this one, it's a national park.
The first time I went to the Lincoln Memorial with my teenager was a great memory I still hold on to from my pre-YouTube years, such that today's crowd around the front side of the attraction would keep up my pace back toward downtown without heading inside, but not before some minor plane spotting on the river approach into Reagan National Airport.
In case you were ever wondering, this is what the backside of the Lincoln Memorial looks like. It's not nearly as busy back here. There's no access to Abe. Okay, that's the reflecting pool. But I don't know what's going on over there. I think I just saw those guys from the train last night that didn't know which sleeper to get on. Why does this always happen to me? Huge cities, and a couple people from trains will just pop up again in my way.
The west side of the mall is where I encounter the Vietnam War Memorial, or the Wall, a must-go for me on each DC trip. My family's been visiting the Wall since the early 90s to locate my uncle, my namesake's inscription on the wall.
I'd never found the book before. It's here, right there. I didn't think that was still there in paper form. I always used the website. Good to walk across the national lawn. Diplomats.
The Chesapeake and Ohio Shipping Canal used to have its terminus here, practically at the front door of American government. A trip on Amtrak's Floridian train continues to trace the canal's path into the mountains, while relics of the old shipping channel remain here down on the swampy plain. It didn't take long for my stomach to cut off my wandering sensibilities. I sought a solution to my hunger at a place known for great decision-making.
Place in this neighborhood where people's needs get taken care of.
Let you know that we must stand with the God of the Bible.
When on the East Coast and not between the Carolinas and the Floridian Panhandle, one needs look no further to satisfy all hunger and nutritional needs than that great Odeon of abundant inspiration and hoagies.
There she is. The goodness of the world rained down upon me.
My thrifty abstinence of popular attractions netted me tasty cake pies, a honey bun, and the goodness of salami, bacon, and peppers with oil and mayo. But just wait for my Fort Worth video to come. The sandwich I had out in Grapevine months after this gives this little powerhouse hoagie a run for its money. And just when I thought I knew what to expect when opening a convenience store pie, here it was, encased in foil and looking so neatly professional. I'd eat a second one landside before TSA the next morning. At this point, I felt compelled to head east, toward RFK Stadium, and to see where I might make it near tomorrow on the DC streetcar. But as you can see in that video already posted on the channel, the streetcar's design would fail to deliver me timely to its eastern endpoint due to its design flaws. My equilibrium also began to wane at this point, nearly into Maryland, and I felt the need to convalesce like any tourist in DC would after about 24 hours on trains, encapsulated in a plastic pod in a vintage building north of downtown. Around the nightlife-laden neighborhood sits U-Street Capsule Hostel. The lobby is a closed coffee shop, which was novel and relaxing to my sensibilities, even if the cleaning help was rather robotic. The capsule rooms are a draw for tourists that have seen or perhaps experienced similar technological advancements from furniture in Japan, Korea, and even some newer European trains. Don't let the color-keyed lighting fool you. This space is hospitable to the senses once you get up the precarious steps to the upper level. Once inside, it's clearly the Temu version of swankier units found in the Far East. Simulations of features barely necessary complement bare-bones ventilation, storage, and charging needs. If this all looks substandard, let me assure you, the pod felt solid and the mattress was just right in terms of firmness, with everything well cleaned, just what you'd expect for about $30 a night. As it has been with nearly every hostel accommodation I've had over the past few years, I had a quiet night's sleep with no adverse smells or sounds from the other 7 pods, not that more than a few were occupied on this Sunday evening coming into Monday.
Folks, that was a okay sleep. Not as nice of a mattress as on the train, but it did just fine. Could use one more pillow. There's a coffee shop downstairs. Let's go there. Indeed. Alright, that was the U-Street Hostel. The pod was a good sleep. I didn't necessarily find it any worse than my normal anxious kind of ready to get up and be where I need to be on time sort of sleep. I think we're only going to get to the depot so we can continue collecting our American streetcars. Well, this is quite the neighborhood with plenty of all the things you need.
I walked to a bus around the corner that was bound for McPherson Square, where I'd get off to visit the other Wawa near the White House. Summer commuters were in abundance on both buses and trains, but higher frequencies for the rush hour kept everything moving well on public transit.
So, airport food is tremendously expensive, and as long as I don't get so much mayonnaise that it goes over the 3-ounce limit, we should be able to make do with a Wawa lunch. The pre-made's probably a better value, and I never had them, so let's give that a try maybe. I do know that I've got a coupon for the iced coffee, so that's helpful. Yeah, you've got the 3 major churches here on the East Coast here in this square. Okay, that's perfect. Look at this, $2. I like their rewards program. It doesn't take a lot to get stuff from it, and I can not get stuff for like 6 months at a time. Still have rewards to redeem. All right, to the metro, to the station, to the streetcar. Okay. We're right about at the park where I ate dinner yesterday. I've been closer to everything than I thought. I believe the system is running automated now, or it soon will. In either case, Monday rush hour, there's plenty of trains.
I clearly didn't have enough time to start up any great level of touristic experience in DC. The Crescent train was the draw for me on this trip, but I'll undoubtedly return to DC next year and in years to come. The Air and Space Museum, National Arboretum with the old Capitol columns, and the lesser-taken commuter rail lines of Maryland and Virginia are all on my list for future trips to the DMV.
stop, Godly Place, Chinatown. Which is your tram? Point to the green and yellow. Green and yellow, those up the doors on the front side.
Doors opening, step back to allow customers to exit. When boarding, please move to the center of the car. Step back, doors closing.
So we've got our choice of buses or Amtrak trains, but we're going to go with MARC today because it's economical and I don't think there'll be a line. Let's go find out.
I can say with some great certainty that that eventual day, as it was for me on this day's trip, will stand a good chance of seeing me either flying into or out of BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport.
Not too far off from where we caught the last Capital Limited.
I found my way out to Friendship Heights for 5 flights with 3 different airlines over the years from BWI, and Delta flights are becoming cheaper these days to MSP than they were back in June 2025 when I made this trip. Not that I need in-flight entertainment and average snacks given out to the whole plane, not just the front seats, but there must be some snack boxes to be had and slightly different twin-engined aircraft to enjoy on the route from the East Coast back to the Midwest. The rail station is a 5-minute bus ride away from BWI's terminals. With the opening of Dulles' Silver Line extension and Reagan National's existing metro station, the rail link to BWI is arguably the least convenient of the 3 DC area airports, but the airport itself never ceases to have the capacity to spread travelers out with greater ease.
Okay, we're at BWI, the good old best airport in Washington, as long as you don't want to see too many interesting airplanes. Just gotta get through security with our Wawa wrap. Settle down, find somewhere to charge the stuff and eat lunch. 12:20-ish departure. That's better than last time. Maybe 5 minutes? More like 15 minutes. There was another queue after the ID check. Well, whatever keeps people moving, I guess. Let's find somewhere to have some lunch. We're going to be in the weird, like, not quite into D-Concourse gate D5 today. What is it about people from Minneapolis that they just stick around the gate? There's so much time. Given there's not the most interesting planes to look at, but there's some planes to look at. They're doing it for the Delta flight too.
This was the first DC area airport to serve jet airliners, though today the only wide-body aircraft present are limited to the cargo ramp and that safety training aircraft left on the edge of the airfield. Beyond the Delta gates, I found solace in my Wawa lunch and repacked my fanny pack into my Frontier-sized bag, so I wouldn't go over the 1 personal item limit imposed by Sun Country's base fare.
See, there were several flights I could have taken home from several different airlines, but Sun Country was the cheapest at about, I think, $80? Yeah, $80, and then another $29 for the front seat selection. And since I don't need any extras, you know, keep it simple. Looks like our plane's here. Let's go see what we're flying. It's always pretty bittersweet when I have to head back to the Twin Cities, but I know I'll get planning the next trip pretty soon here. Still gotta buy tickets for that too. Might even be doing that tonight, just as a little thing to look forward to.
Our flight back to MSP today is aboard an aircraft added to Sun Country's roster about halfway into its nearly 2-decade life spent flying on both sides of the world. We're up in seat 1F, a window seat that affords a free overhead bin storage of my paltry bag due to no seats ahead of mine under which it could be easily stored. The upgrade cost was somewhat over $20. Tray table in the armrest is a good idea, and I got to board in group 2, despite not really needing to. Though near the end of boarding, a fella sat next to me, having received the front row middle seat assignment by way of a ticket agent, even though he wanted a window. This guy never got up to yield the armrest to open for my eventual drink service. He stayed on his phone through most of the taxi, as most of my seatmates on Sun Country do, but he couldn't degrade a good time for me. I had fun checking out the window views of Appalachia, Rust Belt cities, and the Great Lakes and green summer landscapes of the Midwest I was returning to below.
moving forward.
You shut your mouth, I know what to do.
I don't know why they didn't say that.
In a very early iteration of the planning for this trip, I was going to go to Richmond, Virginia, and come back from Sun Country tonight. And they were calling the flight that's going to go to Richmond to be that flight, because that was coming off of mine. In another dimension, maybe. So for a front seat flight, that wasn't very great. The guy next to me was complaining that the ticket agent that he had pick a seat for him at the airport got him a middle seat instead of a window seat. He was kind of a jerk, so I see why that ticket agent may have done that. And we're gonna take a train back downtown, get an express bus. Because this is the time of day where that's convenient, and hence why I did not have to go park at Union Depot. Yay, it's a Bombardier. Okay, now we get to catch the 777 bus, and we get to wait a half hour for it, because frequency in any part of the Twin Cities is bad, but especially over in Plymouth. That's the one we're waiting on. Bet there's at most 10 people on this bus. See, this 90 minutes to get from the airport to Plymouth is pretty good, and you can get that during rush hours, but that's it. Any other time, it's 2 to 3 hours going across town, getting to the second ring suburbs. It's just not easily accessible by public transit in the Twin Cities, like it is in a lot of places in America. Me where I was getting off, and then he proceeded to go down a different, more direct way to Rockford Road. See, when the buses just make up a route for you, then you chop 15 minutes off the schedule. That's great. That's to be expected? No. Just another silly chapter in Twin Cities Public Transit. Well, what was that all about? I guess I just wanted to get time in a sleeper car and have some more East Coast transit adventures, even if they were relatively low excitement and mostly just wandering around, kind of like it's in the name of the channel. Anyway, well, I'm gonna go have some dinner and try to get the next trip planned. So thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along with me. I'll see you the next time we do this, wherever we do it. Holy crap, that's a lot of cottonwood seeds. I'd think that was snow if it wasn't like 91 degrees right now.